Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all keeping well today and looking forward to Destination Unlock for Malta. Really exciting to do Destination Unlock webinars for sure. And yeah, we're going to hear from an esteemed panel very shortly. Just allow all of you to start to take your seats, metaphorically speaking, and then the webinar will soon begin. Welcome everybody, we're just waiting everyone to join and we will soon begin the webinar. It's very exciting, we are actually going live to Malta today. So here we go, we're going to hear from the horse's mouth exactly how everything is going to be going forward. And it's exciting to be able to pack your bags and start flying to Malta as well. Okay, good morning everybody. I'm about to start the webinar for Malta. Oops, excuse me. And so, really great to have you all here this morning. I'd like to invite our panelists to turn on their cameras and introduce themselves and say hello. Well, I'll be introducing you anyway. So today we have Tolene van der Merwe, who's the Director of the UK and Ireland for Malta Tourism Authority. We also have Mimi Vishera, and she's the Trade Trainer for Malta Tourism Authority. And live actually in Malta today, we have Paul Sies, the Chief Commercial Officer for Air Malta, and Alex Savona, the Head of Global Sales for Air Malta as well. So welcome all of you. It's really, really great that you can be here today to talk about how we can pack our bags to Malta. So just to give you a bit of background on each of our guests here today. So Tolene, who is the Director of UK and Ireland for Malta Tourism, she began her career in the tourism industry at Exclusive Getaways, which is the luxury South African operator. And Tolene later joined London-based operator African Affair Travel, furthering her specialism in the African travel product before founding the boutique travel marketing company, where she spent 7 years growing the hotel representation company. So that was very interesting. Tolene joined Malta Tourism Authority following 5 years as the hub head of the South African Tourism Authority for UK and Ireland. So great. I'd also like to introduce Paul Sies. He's the Chief Commercial Officer for Air Malta. And Paul Sies is a commercial turnaround specialist that's been able to use his skills in several areas, like strategic and network development, distribution, revenue management, to develop better products and results for airlines and companies generally in the tourism sector. Paul has successfully reorganized existing airlines and tourist companies and started up new airlines as well in all sorts of different parts of the world. Paul was actually born in London, but raised by Dutch parents in a very multicultural environment. So incredibly, Paul can speak English, Dutch and French, trilingual, very good and useful in the travel industry, I must say. Paul joined Air Malta in 2016 and was responsible for the expansion of the network and rapid growth of the airline in 2017 and 2018. And he drove the introduction of Fare Families, Go Light, and most recently full content distribution through aggregators. I think you're a really important person to have on the Air Malta team right now, especially in a pandemic, to keep everything all on track. Fabulous. Of course, next to him is the wonderful Alex Savona, who is the Head of Global Sales of Air Malta, and he's literally lived at Air Malta, I think, really. You've been there since 1979, I hear. So should we be giving away dates? I don't know. So you started off working in ground services and after a few years moved to the airline sales department. And Alex spent 25 years working for Air Malta abroad in its overseas offices and was the country manager, in fact, for UK, Italy and France, before returning back to the head office in 2012, which is where you are now in Malta. And as the head of global sales, Alex is responsible for the airline sales teams and set up in all the markets Air Malta operates to. So that is also a crucial job happening right now, trying to logistically get everything moving and rebooted again. Yeah, you guys have got an awesome job in 2020.
Air Malta.
And talking of 2020, we now have the lovely Mimi, who is the trade manager or trade trainer, I should say, for the the Malta Tourism Authority. And Mimi has been with Malta Tourism for the last 4 years, but she incredibly started her brand new role, which is trade trainer, on the 1st of April, on April Fool's Day, Mimi. I mean, couldn't write it, could you?
Time.
But you know, it was really important role, because of course that's when we really needed to understand destinations from a different point of view. And I hear you've trained as many as 400 agents since then, so that's excellent. So what Mimi doesn't know about Malta isn't worth knowing, I think you could say. And Mimi, today you're going to be running the chat and answering any questions. So if you have any questions as we go through this webinar, please don't hesitate to pop it in the chat button. If you're used to chat, it's just below the screen, so you should just pop a question straight into it, and Mimi should be able to answer. And generally there'll be some questions at the end that we can ask the panel as well. So Mimi can also invite panels to answer any of your questions too. So don't be afraid to ask. Right, so now what we'd like to do first is just kick off with why we love Malta so much. Just a little bit of a 1-minute video. It's actually, I'm going to warn you, it's emotional, okay? So if you're feeling a bit unstable and a bit, you might need your glass of water with you, because yeah, they miss us. And you watch, here we go. Here we are. So I'm going to run the video.
Some time has passed. I stopped to take a breath. I know you did too. We've been distant, but I needed to reflect. Rethink. Reimagine. We made so many sacrifices, but we did our part. I'm ready now. Are you? It's time. Let's go. Let's begin again. We'll be together soon. I miss you. I miss the weightlessness and the warmth, the sun on our cheeks, our feet on the earth. We're free. We're soaring. We're back.
So it's an emotional one, but heartfelt and beautifully put together, that video. It reminds us as to why we all need to get traveling again and pack our bags to Malta. So Mimi, we just would like to launch a poll, I think, just to get to know everybody out there and what they're thinking at the moment. So Mimi, I'll allow you to take over.
Yes, so basically we have 2 questions. We would like to know more about you. Do you sell Malta, and also are you confident in selling Malta? So I'm just going to do the poll, and I'm going to give you like a minute to put your answers, and then I'm going to share the results with you, and we can take it from there. So I'm just going to share that with you now. I hope you can all see it.
Yep, absolutely.
While you're waiting, by the way, just a quick comment. The video was actually made in-house by our own Daniel.
Was it?
Yeah. So
very professional.
Proud of him and it.
Yeah. Wow. It was the "I miss you" that got me. I miss you.
But we are back.
Exactly. Exactly.
We've been waiting so long for that.
I know. What a very unusual and difficult year.
I think it's been harder for us working in the travel industry. We're so used to travel around and meet people. So being left out and without that, it really felt hard.
Absolutely. Well, we have another Julia on the webinar, and she's just mentioned it's a very heartfelt video as well in the chat. So thanks, Julia.
So I'm just going to end the polling so I can share the results with you. So basically we have 60% of the people who voted who actually sell Malta, which is a great number. Only 3% do not sell Malta, and we have 37% who do not sell Malta but would like to. So we're working towards getting you guys on board and selling Malta. Are you confident in selling Malta? Only 10% are saying yes, I usually sell Malta frequently. 43% say yes, but they would like more training and to feel more confident. 30% saying yes, but they still don't feel confident in selling Malta, and 17%, which is quite a large number, are saying that they're not feeling confident. So I'm just going to share these results with you. So I think, Julie, we can take it from there, and we can share what we have as an information about Malta so far.
Absolutely. I think the first comment to make is that all the panel are discussing how things are on the 21st of July as it stands right now. And as we know, as we go through this pandemic, each week different things change. Everyone marks everything out to be 2 meters, great, and suddenly the government goes 1 meter. So just bear in mind that what everyone is talking about is how things are as they appear to be at the moment. And secondly, the best way to get really genned up on Malta is to do the OTT Malta tourism course, isn't it, Mimi?
Yes, that's true.
So do make sure that you log on to OTT and you go straight to Malta, and then you're going to, it's only about 20 minutes, it's not a huge amount of time, but in that time it's in depth enough to really understand it.
Julia, may I just share yes. that we are doing a number of webinars as well, and they're covering different topics. So far we've done the general information on Malta, how to get there, how to get around, where to stay, and so on. We've also done main attractions in Malta. Mm-hmm. We've done adventure in Malta, and this month we're running scuba diving in Malta. So yeah, this Thursday I'm having Professor Timmingham Ben and the BSAC team joining me on Thursday, as I said. So everybody who is interested in scuba diving, please make sure you join us. I'm going to share the link in the chat box so you can register.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous. Right, so I think the best way to understand how Malta is unlocking is think of the journey literally from the UK, getting to Malta, and of course by flying Air Malta. It's the only way to get to, well, it might not be the only way, but it's the only proper way to get to Malta is via Air Malta. So, so Paul, Alex, tell me, what is now the experience sort of coming through in flight before we kind of land? What can travellers expect as they start to board Air Malta from the airport and journey through? What's the in-flight experience like?
Journey starts really at home because there's already health declaration forms you need to fill in. So it's quite an organised situation. Our health authorities here really want to know that you've been put in the UK and not came out of a COVID-infected country before a few days, and if you did, that you stayed in the UK for at least 14 days. And they want to know that you're, of course, feeling...
Oh, I think we've lost connection there. See, that's what happens when you go live. It's like the BBC, right? We're going live to Malta, and sometimes it doesn't always. We'll have to come back to that. I don't know, Tolene, if you want to just pick up on forms. So we started off with there's forms to be filled in. Do you know much about the forms?
Yeah, so they would need to be filled in prior to going and handed in on arrival, because we've got to know if should a guest or should a visitor come down with any symptoms, we've got to know where they're staying, any contacts they've had, etc. So it's just to make sure that you are traceable in that sense. I think Paul's back.
Yeah, are you back?
Sorry about this, guys.
Fabulous. Sorry about that. We were tap dancing while you were gone. Now you're back. We can carry on. So Tolene, go on.
Where did you lose me, guys?
We lost you at the forms, but Tolene sort of picked up a little bit on forms. So we filled in a form. We've done that bit, and now now what are we doing? Are we on the plane yet?
You're coming to the airport. The airport you will see is well prepared for situation. The sanitizers all around the place. There is signs to keep your distance. When you are going to board the aircraft, we do that row by row. So really the people don't have to mingle. They're called to the gate row by row. We limit the hand baggage as much as possible. Actually, we're trying to abolish hand luggage, so it goes in the hold.
Okay. So if you're boarding row by row, does that mean you have to wait longer? Is it like you have to board earlier and get there earlier and everything, so you should be at the airport earlier? Yeah.
Yeah, we really advise people to be 2 hours
at the gate. Sure. Okay, and at the gate earlier than usual.
It's a little bit earlier than usual. We start in time. The aircraft arrives an hour before before it leaves again, and we try to take about 45 minutes for the boarding at the moment.
Okay. So
On board the aircraft, there's nothing really changed. If it's a low load, we'll try to spread people through the aircraft. But if it's a full aircraft, then people will sit next to each other. Aircraft are foreseen with quite specific air conditioning systems. The air does not travel from the front to the back, but it travels from above to below. And it's filtered every 2 minutes. All the air in the cabin is filtered. The air is as pure as an operation theatre. We use HEPA filters. Wow. They are very strictly sanitized. The aircraft are sanitized on a daily basis. And when the aircraft arrives in Malta, it's completely deep cleaned and prepared for the next trip. So there's a lot of work gone into it.
Is this because these are the newer aircrafts with really, sophisticated filtration systems? Is this because I suppose there's always been a rumor that aviation can be a bit buggy, but what you're saying is this filtration is a hospital operation level. That's quite something.
We already and airlines for years have had to operate within environments where pandemics were going on, Africa, places like that. So for our crews, it was not a new thing. Of course, let's say the amount of problems was much bigger than normal, but they are fully trained how to deal with somebody who has a contagious disease on board and know how to handle it. We have kids on board already for that. So we did extra training, but this is not out of the ordinary.
That's fascinating, very interesting. And do people have to wear masks on board?
Yes, they do. Not while they're eating, of course, so they can
no.
It gets very messy, but for sure they have to wear masks. We do not allow visors because people assume visors are good enough. They're not really masks, because a mask is a two-way protection for yourself and for your fellow passenger.
And do you bring your own mask, or do you wear an I Love Malta mask?
Well, if we can have our I Love Malta mask, I'll ask Tolene if she can provide them for every passenger. We have to bring your own mask, but we do, let's say we just ordered a big amount of specially branded masks for people who are really stuck and don't have a mask.
Okay, that's important. And the in-flight journey, so the normal sort of hospitality in flight, is that as you would expect, or has that changed in any way?
It's changed slightly. We are trying to minimize the contact between the crew and passengers, because it's again a step which has a risk for contamination. So we are minimizing it, but it doesn't mean we don't give a service. We give pre-packed in the back of the aircraft in economy class. We give pre-packed catering service, which is buy on board. And in business class, we give a one-course meal. It used to be a three-course meal, but it's one tray with 3 courses on it.
Oh,
so
I see, yeah.
It's maybe a little bit less passenger-friendly than it was before. And it's not because we don't love our passengers, but we love them so much that we try to avoid contamination.
Keep them safe. Okay, and then when the plane lands, and now we're into the airport.
Same thing, a very strict protocol of embarkation of the aircraft, row by row, front to end. People have to stay seated in the aircraft, and as they do not have hand baggage with them, there is no need to scramble. And we try to get them off the aircraft in a controlled manner so that there is automatic spacing at the airport.
Okay, that's brilliant. So when you say no hand baggage, can girls have handbags?
Yes.
Okay.
Girls have handbags, and even men can have handbags, by the way.
Oh, good. Okay. It's an important one for a girl to know, you know.
Absolutely. And of course, when you're taking your laptop on board or your camera and things like that, that's allowed, but no trolleys. We're trying to avoid the trolleys.
The trolleys are placed at the boat, and practically they are part of your hand luggage. They will automatically be taken at the check-in.
Okay, that seems fine. And I guess you're going to travel if you feel confident about traveling anyway, rather than vulnerable, you're more likely to travel, aren't you, as a traveler? So you don't need to be too concerned about ages or people's medical conditions?
Well, the consent forms actually ask if you are fit to travel, and ask about this, because we assume that if you're not feeling well, you should not be traveling. And you should be responsible enough to cancel your trip or to postpone your trip.
Indeed.
But this is a very, very important responsibility we have on ourselves. Okay,
so moving through the airport now. So we've all got off. What can we expect? Are we having temperature checks? Are we, what's the protocol when we land?
Yes, when you enter the airport, you get temperature checks, and when you arrive in Malta, you get temperature checks, the standard infrared checks. In Malta, you will have to also fill in a form where you were sitting in the aircraft and where you will be staying, which they will take from you when you do the temperature check. They will ask you for the form. Mm-hmm. So if there is anything developing afterwards, we know where everybody is and we can contact people in a controlled manner.
Okay, very sensible. There was one question that just popped up, which Mimi might have answered, but just to ask you, because it's quite a cute question, can children's rucksacks, are they allowed on board as well, like girls' handbags? Sometimes it's the small things that people...
It's a bit... yesterday I was traveling with my 6-year-old daughter, and she had a rucksack with her, so no problem at all.
Oh, fabulous. Okay, I'm sure he'll be very pleased about that, the person that asked that question. Okay, good. So that's it. So we've just got a temperature check, a form to hand over, and then are we free? Are we out the airport, or is there anything else?
Well, you have to collect your luggage.
Oh, you've got to collect your... yeah, well, of course, yeah. That's a small practicality. Okay, and in the normal way.
And that's quite the normal way.
Yeah.
Yesterday I saw how Malta had arranged it. The stickers on the floor where people have to stand. And funny enough, people really do abide to it. So
yes.
I saw people really lining up on the stickers and waiting patiently for their baggage.
And is it 2 meters or 1 meter distance in Malta?
1.5 meters.
1.5.
Compromise.
Oh gosh. Okay, 1.5. Fair enough. That's good. Right. Okay. So now we've run out of the airport, going, yay! We're here finally on holiday. So Tolene, what's it like then getting from the airport to the hotel? Is everyone expecting taxis? What's the safety like in taxis? What's the transportation basically to where you need to get to?
Yeah, so we've still got the same level of transportation. You are required to wear a mask in taxis or in your coaches, etc., and that's to protect yourself and obviously protect whoever's looking after you. The buses and taxis are regularly sanitized and cleaned. They should be, particularly the taxis, cleaned after every client, and then transported across to your hotel, which inevitably you'll get another temperature check on arrival at a hotel. And then your check-in is again as contactless as possible, but still with the very friendly Malta welcome that we do offer. So we're trying to make sure that our tourists are feeling very welcome like they have been previously, but also ensuring that we are keeping them as safe as possible, as well as our residents as safe as possible.
Great. And do you know about how the hotels have reopened? Has the government been involved in any way in which they should reopen their hotels in terms of COVID safety, or does each hotel kind of manage its own protocols?
So we do have the certified safety stickers that our restaurants and hotels are required to abide by, that the MTA has been involved with in just making sure that the distancing, the way that we are preparing the food, restaurants, etc. And if it's the drinks, all that kind of stuff, to make sure that everything is sanitized. The usage of even the small things like your salt and pepper and that on the table is to have those as disposable. and just a constant cleaning ritual that they have to go through as far as possible. Mimi's got a bit more, I guess, because you've been training.
Yes, so basically Malta Tourism Authority has issued a number of protocols for the industry to follow, and only those who follow those protocols are given the certificate. And this certificate is like a sticker that you can find at the door or close to the door, so you can easily recognize which of those places is certified. In fact, only those who pass those protocols are given the go-ahead to open for clients. So hotels and catering establishments who do not cover the protocols are not able to operate for clients and open for the public. Those protocols also cover pools, because I can see one of the questions is how pools operate in Malta. So at the moment we have 50% capacity operating for private pools. Also social distancing is advised when you go to the beach. We have 16-page booklet that I will share on the chat. I was just halfway through when this question popped up, but I'm going to share this booklet for everyone, because there you can find the actual sticker, how it looks like, and all the social distancing rules, and it's quite useful and you can always share it with your clients. And I think it's very important to be aware that these rules are there to protect you, to protect your clients. And once you follow the rules, in fact they're based on four main principles: social distancing, high level of hygiene, wearing a mask and visor where social distancing is not possible, and of course having fun. We can't skip that because Malta is so much fun. Yeah, so I'll be sharing that booklet in the chat box, and you can find all the information there. Another thing that I wanted to cover is that Malta Tourism Authority is monitoring all the establishments, and if any of those establishments is in breach of any of the protocols, the stickers is taken away and they basically have to close. So we're making sure that everything is it's covered.
Gosh, okay, that's very, very good. So to sort of recap then, masks through the flight, into the airport, now we're to the hotel. I assume it's the same sort of thing. So whenever you're in a restaurant or a hotel or in a shop, you wear a mask. If you're walking outside, do you still wear a mask, or you're okay?
So basically the official rule is that a visor or a face cover is only required where social distancing is not possible, which means that open area spaces are, you're not required to wear a mask. In fact, even if you go to the shop, you'll be actually advised and not required to wear a face mask. And in fact, you'll be advised by the team of the restaurant, let's say, not the restaurant, because you're not required to wear a face mask or face cover in the restaurants. Only the restaurant team is wearing face cover. But basically, if you have to cover your mouth, you'll be advised in advance, so you won't be caught overboard, and you won't be breaking the rules basically without even knowing it. You'll always be advised
as you go. So just really carry a mask on you. I think that seems simplest.
Yeah, just have it in your bag in case you're required to put it on, because some of the places, like some of the museums are quite small, some of the heritage sites are quite small, so you can't really keep social distancing. So in that case, you'll be actually advised to wear a mask.
Yes, okay, well that makes perfect sense. Okay, so
it became a way of life here, to be honest. We're used to it, and it's very natural.
Yeah, I think you've done very well with this horrible bug that's been out there running around. I think you haven't had too many cases, am I right?
Yeah, we've had, I think it was just under 700 cases. We unfortunately had 9 deaths, which is still very small compared to obviously the rest of the world. And I think to date we probably have about 4 active cases. And we've had no new within, transmitted cases at this stage. So I think Malta, we have been praised by the World Health Organization, etc., as the way that we've actually managed the crisis and the situation. And I think being as small as we are, shutting down as quickly as we did was hard. It was a big decision to make for government. But it has definitely, it's played its part. And, the Maltese have been amazing at how they've handled it. And as Paul said, it's all now become a way of life. And I think over here as well, it's all just becoming a way of life, you know.
Yes, we're sort of getting used to it.
Yeah, so, you know, apart from your sunscreen and your hat and everything that you're going to be packing in your bag, you're just going to throw in 1 or 2 extra masks to take with you. It's just going to be a natural thing now, which is great. But I think we carrying on life as normal Malta is open. You know, we're standing there waiting with open arms to welcome everyone back, and very excited.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good. And so, you know, all the tourists have a responsibility to work with your protocols and make sure everybody stays safe as a result. So that's very good news indeed.
Yeah.
So Mimi, I know you've been managing the chat. Are there other questions that have come up that?
Well, I just got another question for Paul and Alex. People are asking if you fill in all the seats or you leave some free in between. Do you operate in 100% capacity?
We operate in 100% capacity, but if the flight's not full, and many of the flights are not full, of course, because the demand has gone down, then we space the people in the aircraft. But if there's full flights, and yesterday evening I came in on a full flight, then we do put people, seat people next to each other, as we always have done. But I reiterate that the aircraft has such a high air purity and such a high filtration through the HEPA filters that there is much less risk on the aircraft than actually being at the airport. The aircraft itself is the least of the worries.
Yeah, that needs to be somewhere. I don't know, it's a slogan. Aircraft's the least of your worries, because you know, without aircraft, frankly, we're not going to get anywhere to destinations. So, you know, people do need to feel more comfortable about flying, and that's why it's really great that you've joined this webinar today, just to explain the experience. Because the more you understand, and the more knowledge you have, the more confidence you have, and of course from the trades point of view, the more confident they can then tell the people that are traveling all the different little bits and pieces, rucksacks allowed, handbags allowed, and so on, and this is what you can expect. And the minute you can understand it all, it's like, yeah, okay, great, let's just book, let's pack our bags right now and get over to Malta. So that's what it's all about.
We see a lot of people arriving in Malta, and most of the people you talk to, maybe in the beginning, were a little bit nervous for traveling. And yesterday I saw it myself. People before they had to get on the aircraft were really nervous, but when arriving understood that actually the experience is quite the same as before.
Yeah.
But we all changed our lives in respect of which country we live. We're going to the supermarket with a mask. We wash our hands more. We sanitize our hands when we go somewhere. Yeah. And it's no more than that. And I think if you respect the rules before you fly and after you fly, flying itself is not a bigger risk than living our current lives.
Sure, and the rules are there to keep us safe.
Julia, I just have another question for Paul and Alex. What flights are operating to the UK at the moment?
Okay, so practically at the moment we are operating Heathrow and Manchester. Okay, which will be starting in Manchester in next week, in August. Okay, so we have practically about 10 frequencies on Heathrow, and we'll be going with 3 frequencies on Manchester from the 1st of August.
And that's good news, because actually when we started this summer, we thought we would be flying 3 or 4 times a week to London. In the meantime, it's 10 times a week. So you can see that the demand out of the UK is really picking up, and thank you for that. Thank you for everybody in the trade who is already supporting us.
Yes.
Actually, Manchester was originally not even planned, then planned for once a week, then twice a week, and now is going to 3 times a week. We really feel that things are rolling the positive way. We're trying to be as agile as we can in our planning and route network development to work on demand. Actually, I think that's maybe very important for the trade. We've already earlier on in the COVID period, we introduced Go Safe, and we have our 5 families, Go Light and Go Smart and Go Flex. But Go Safe was a new introduction, and Go Safe is actually a lower fare, but actually with flexibility. So when you need to cancel, you will get a refund of -€10. And when you need to change at a very low fee, you can make a change. So this is how we're trying to bring back confidence to the traveler, because I can understand that people say, oh, I'm a little bit scared to book now because what happens if there is a second wave, or what happens if things change? Things can always change, of course. We don't have everything in our hands, but we go safe. At least you have another layer of flexibility and another layer of safety.
Perfect. That's exactly what's needed for reassurance, and that absolutely will help sales for sure. So Mimi, some more? Yeah.
Yeah, some more questions. Sorry, it's just people are quite interested in Malta, which is great. So another question is for Air Malta. So one of the agents is saying that you used to offer travel agents discounts, and is it still going on?
Okay. Yes, you're talking about the travel agents fair.
Yes, it is. Not a problem.
Obviously, it depends, subject to availability, according to the flight booking situation and demand. Therefore, if flight is available, definitely yes. I just remind you that the bookings will be confirmed only not earlier than 21 days before departure. So, I mean, any requests should reach us around that time, around 21 days before departure date.
Okay, I hope that answers the questions. And is there any more information on your website about agents and agents discounts, or how can we get that information?
You can get it either directly from us. In the UK, we are represented by flight directors, who are our sales representatives, or from our website. There is some information about for the travel agents. Otherwise, I mean, also we have our own office in the UK, which is mainly dealing with the groups, and also from there they can contact our office for information about the travel agents fair, which we offer.
Yeah.
The good news is that not all aircraft are full, as you can understand, so there is good availability for travel agents discounts.
And I think actually if travel agents get traveling and the trade gets traveling, there's also a strong message. And you can say, well, I went to Malta, it was absolutely fine.
Absolutely.
So should be encouraged that we all get going. Maybe there's a slight sort of self-responsibility, if you can, to get going anywhere. There's a good message.
Well, the good thing is, I'll give you a first-hand reaction. We had to travel this weekend for family reasons, and my wife was so intensely happy to come back to Malta because that's where she feels safety.
Wow, brilliant. There we are.
The important thing is Malta has invested heavily in its medical system. It was already excellent, but we've expanded a lot. And so maybe not nice to say, but it is important to say, if something would happen and if you don't feel well, there is a really good medical system that dealt with the situation really, really effectively.
That's good. I think that's important to, again, reassure people that what if worst case scenario happens. So that's great that you've reassured everybody on the medical front. Good, excellent. And Mimi, more questions? I thought there was one on swimming pools or something.
Yes, I'm just going to answer that question. I was just trying to share the UK office details. So basically, Air Malta has their office in the UK, in London, in Putney. So I'm just trying to find the details and share it in the chat box for agents to be able to contact them. In the meantime, so swimming pools, as I mentioned, swimming pools are operating in half capacity. And this is just to ensure that social distancing is actually possible. Also, all the staff at the pools will be wearing a face cover, but you're not required to, so don't worry about having to wear a mask when you're lying on the beach. Is there another question? Let me just have a look. As I said, I was just sharing the information.
The buffet, so on that they're eliminating buffets and self-service counters as a precaution. So that's part of the safety protocols as well.
Okay, so high levels of service in the hotels. Wow.
Could I just also add, and I know obviously Air Malta flies, because there's just another question around other areas, but Air Malta flies from Heathrow and Manchester. We do have other airlines flying from other airports. I think there's a total of 18 airports that you can reach Malta from. So we have got really good airlift, and so that's just for if your clients can't get to Heathrow or Manchester, there are other options.
Okay, good to point out. Anything? Oh, there was something else I thought, Mimi, that just came up to do with what does half capacity mean?
Sorry, Julia, I was just looking for that contact details. So seats
seems
on the flight. Yeah. Sorry. If customer hasn't booked their seats, do you automatically allocate all families together? Is one of the questions.
We do.
Okay.
So
And
when people are traveling together, we will make an utmost effort to make sure that they're sitting together.
okay, great. Yeah, I'm just going to find these details because I'm afraid that once we end the session, I'm not going to be able to share the contact details of Air Malta. I think there was one of the questions in the Q&A box. Does Air Malta still give extra FOC hold allowance for scuba divers? Was one of the questions.
No, I mean, practically, that policy had changed quite a couple of years ago. For scuba divers, we have the sports equipment, which can be purchased directly from our website, or so really, I mean, the sports equipment, and they can purchase whatever they need to carry as excess baggage.
Or through any travel agency.
Or through any travel agency, through any MD, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the half capacity was the swimming pool experience, which at the end of the day, when we go on holiday, we just want to relax, round by the pool. And then do we now need to count how many are in the pool before we can like dive in? What does the half capacity bit mean, Tolene? I think you kind of casually mentioned it and somebody picked you up on it.
So that is just to ensure that we've got the 2 meter distances within the lounges around the pool, which you can take into account would be half the amount of people allowed at the pool. But that doesn't mean you have to wait, you know, 1 in, 1 out within the water. Everyone is, you know, there's no requirement for only 3 people in the water. So because we'd have half capacity around the pool, that will give you enough distance within the swimming pool as well.
Yes. Okay.
And again, as you say, people do keep they are wary of their social distancing now anyway.
So would there be slots going on then? So you've got the morning slot, the afternoon slot, or you've got there for 2 hours and then you've got to come out and somebody else gets to be at the lounger? I don't know. That's probably too detailed a question. That's probably not
very
fair.
Detailed.
That's too detailed. I'm sorry. I went off script. So I shouldn't have done that one. Forget it.
In practical, what happens is most times you need to make a reservation to be able to be, if you want to get into one of the better places.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fine. Well, I'm sure the hotels aren't at full capacity. We wish they were. So I'm sure it's all fine, whether you're eating or relaxing by the pool. So that's good. Any more questions, Mimi?
I am still trying to find the best contact number for Air Malta in London. Maybe Paul or Alex can share that with us.
Telephone number, you mean?
Yeah, maybe, well, usually the agents prefer a telephone number that they can actually speak to someone personal, if that's possible.
Okay, I will send you our phone number, which are practically on our website, or else I will send you a phone number of our representatives.
Okay.
We can contact it now if you want.
Exactly.
Or you can use the chat box maybe if you have it in hand. Julia, will we be able to access the email addresses of all the people who attended? Or maybe we can send you the information and you can distribute the information that we're missing at the moment.
Absolutely. I mean, we are actually recording this webinar. So there will be a recording that we will send you directly along with any attachments and information coming straight from Air Malta or from the Malta Tourism Authority. And also it will be live on the OTT webinar page on the website for at least a month, and then it'll be live probably forever on YouTube. So you'll be able to pick up this information quite easily afterwards, so that's fine.
And I have one of the questions saying any new protocols with groups. Does this mean MICE groups or leisure groups? I'm not quite sure, but if it's MICE groups, we have someone in our office who is responsible for MICE, so I'm happy to share her details if you're interested in that. Her name is Lindsay.
I suppose it's also gatherings. You know, people like to get married, and that's kind of been put on hold. And gathering groups for celebrations, anniversaries. So, you know, like here, it keeps changing how many people can meet in public. Do you happen to know, if that's not too detailed a question, what the size gathering is now in Malta?
So from the 15th of July, those levels of restrictions were lifted. We have got some larger events happening towards the end of August, beginning of September. Weddings will be allowed to go ahead. So they are still writing some of the new protocols around festivals and events, like the really big gatherings. But if you are traveling within a group of your own, say, you know, a group of friends or something like that, that is absolutely fine, because you will still be within your bubble, so to speak. So there are no restrictions on that. But generally there's no new protocol on the smaller level of groups, really. Absolutely.
Right, so are there any final questions, burning questions? Do pop them into the Q&A. Mimi, if there's anything else that we should cover that we haven't thought of?
I think we've covered pretty much everything in the chat box. So if I've missed anything, is all your hotels open? Yes, most of the hotels are open. As I said, we've issued a set of protocols, and only those who cover those protocols are allowed to open. But yeah, most of them are. I don't know how to answer that question. I am just going to try and find if any of those hotels are published on our website, our head office website. Tolene, do you think we have them on the website?
They're not on the website at the moment, as you know, we keep adding new ones that are certified. So I think if you realistically think from August, we'll probably have the majority of our hotels would be open, because that's obviously the summer season, and that is when, you know, we've got more flights coming in from all over the world. So at this stage, it would say, if you are booking through a tour operator, the tour operators are working with products that are open. And if you are booking directly, and you're not sure, then please drop us a line and we can double check that for you.
Yes. Also, I'm going to share my email address in case, because we have a session on the protocols. It's about 20-30 minute session that I cover all the protocols. So if you're interested in having those recordings, I can send them to you. I'm just going to send my email address. If you have any further questions, feel free to contact us, and we're here to help you. As I said, this is the latest information, but things are changing by the hour. So yeah, if you have any questions, just drop us an email.
Yes, as I'm sure if you're all registered with OTT, which you must be, you'll be used to the COVID newsletter. Well, I think we changed it because we just didn't like the word COVID anymore. It's just like, oh, you know, you kind of didn't want to open it. Or, but now that all that knowledge and information is changing to, well, we're opening and this is how we're opening, that newsletter is still very important. So that regular newsletter still goes out, and do make sure you open it, because it is the latest news. It's how things are changing that you need to know about, that you can inform your travelers as we go through. Every course has a top tab, as I'm sure you've seen already, that has a COVID as a name, and then changing information can go through there. And finally, you've probably seen news on OTT, which is our blog. And then as press releases come in from destinations and from airlines and cruise companies and so on, we put that on the blog. So you've got information there. If you look under the suppliers tab of OTT, this is a new thing. You'll see all the companies are now listed in a directory, and you can follow your favorite companies. So do be sure to follow Malta, and that means then you'll be notified when you see blogs come through, or any prizes, or, you know, new course launches, or anything that's happening to do with the destination, or in fact, of course, the airlines. So that's quite a fun feature. Yes, start following your favorite suppliers. So I think, any final questions, or are we going to close it from there? Any burning
There was
ones?
one about special offers. So currently those are coming through, and we're trying to load them onto our office page on the website. But again, the special offers from the hotels and that would go through your preferred tour operator. And if we are getting any special offers, we do try and send that out through newsletters, especially, you know, if we get something from airlines and that. And if you have any questions, then Mimi's your person to ask. And I know above right in the beginning, there was someone saying, you know, training, please. So this is why we have Mimi. And with the demand that there is for Malta at the moment, I think the training will become more and more intense, and we are here. So whatever you need in that sense of, if it's consumer evenings, if it's training for your team members, you know, anything, shop window displays, whatever you need, we're here. And we can train you either virtually or when we are allowed to come down and train you in the office, then we will gladly be doing that.
Absolutely, yes. The virtual training is sort of how things are generally, but of course all these other webinars and all this other press releases, blogs, messaging is really how things are currently, and you kind of need to have both information to keep up to date at all times with what's going on with Malta and other destinations as well. So yeah, oh, sorry,
maybe
Paul?
just the last tip. If people are looking for a real good offer, because people are talking about offers, go to Air Malta Holidays. Air Malta Holidays is really, really nice offers with most of it, all hotels in Malta, but with some of them we made some really great packages. So it's always worthwhile having a look and advising your clients.
That's fabulous. That's really good to know. Do you know, it nearly kind of cut out there an offer, and I thought, oh no, it's going to go again. So luckily it remained okay. So that's good. So Air Malta Holidays for the special offers to Malta. So fabulous. Thank you very much for coming along to this webinar to hear all about how Malta is opening up for tourism. Get your clients to pack their bags and get cracking over to Malta. You yourself get over there as well. They're waiting for you, open arms, beautiful temperatures. Tolene was showing me her camera earlier of the fabulous temperatures, but we already know
31 degrees, sunshine. What more could you want from life? Seaside.
Absolutely. Corroborated by Paul and Alex. They said, yep, it's hot today, nearly 30 degrees. They're not sweltering too far though, and I think they're air-conditioned officers, so they're sensible.
Yeah,
it's right, freezing. Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay, so I think that's everything here from Malta. Thank you very much again. If you do have time on Thursday, tune in to hear from Belize. Belize is just going to be talking about their destination, not so much in an open way, but just generally, if you want to know more about the destination Belize, then do tune in on Thursday at 3 p.m. We're actually going live to Belize then. So look forward to seeing you all again then. And thank you to everybody here that's participated in making this webinar really informative and interesting. So thank you very much, guys. And wish you all
everyone
as well.
See you soon, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.